Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Cinephiles. I'm Chris.
And I'm Robbie.
And we are doing the Scream movies currently. We've just done Scream 1, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen that already. And we are up to Scream 2, so we're halfway through the franchise right now. And we're going to be looking at that today and looking at that in depth, so enjoy.
Hear the music.
College students were murdered last night during a sneak preview of the new movie Stab.
It's starting again, Randy.
This has nothing to do with us.
Randy, a guy in a ghost mask hacked up two people in a movie theater telling our life story.
Hi, Gail Weathers, author of the Woodsboro murders. Do you think the killer will strike again?
We have no evidence that this is a serial killer.
It's a classic case of life imitating art, imitating life.
Are you suggesting that someone's trying to make a real-life sequel?
Do you think someone's trying to duplicate Woodsboro?
It looks like it.
I think you have a copycat on your hands, Chief.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Remember me?
What do you want?
I want you. It's showtime.
Scream 2 was directed once again by Wes Craven, and returning from the original film we have Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette, and joining them with this film is Timothy Olyphant and Laurie Metcalf.
So the plot for Scream 2 is essentially very similar to the first in many ways. Picks up a couple of years after the original.
Yeah.
The characters now have moved into college, and they essentially Sydney starts getting threatening phone calls again, and Ghostface has returned, and they have to identify who the killer is.
Again.
So everything's kind of again.
Yeah.
With this,
and the film embraces that. It embraces it embraces the rules of a sequel.
Yep.
Where the first one embraced the rules of a horror film, this one does that still, but now it brings in the rules of a sequel.
Yes.
And you know the things that people expect in the sequel, and it plays around with that as well.
And do sequels surpass the originals? That's one of the opening scenes where they're discussing that in film school. Is it better than the original?
Yes.
You know, and that's why it works.
When it's not planned.
When it's not planned.
When it's not outside like a trilogy or anything like that. When it's like a sequel that's just written after the original came out. And okay, so Scream 2, it does fall for the sequel problems a bit. Where it is not as good as the first one. I don't think it comes close to the first one. It's still a very, very fun time.
It is fun. It is still fun. Yeah.
But it's like a grade down from the first one, for me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But it still has enough really cool scenes in there for it to essentially work. And because I wouldn't say a lot of characters, because some of them died in the first film, but you do have those returning players come back in, and we obviously still care about Dewey, we still care about Sydney, we care about Randy, you know, all those characters essentially back in here. And you know, this is really just a continuation.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the characters you cared about the most and that you wanted to see continue, they're the ones that do actually continue.
Right.
Whether they continue through this film, have to wait and see.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
Again, if you haven't seen Scream 2, go watch it.
Yep, go watch it.
Just watch the franchise. Number 1 is the best, without a doubt, but the entire series is good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, once again, we're sort of playing the detective game, so we're trying to guess who essentially the killer is, what's going on, why is the killer back, all these kinds of things, all these questions essentially we have. There's some new characters in here on this one.
Yeah, so
what do you think of them?
The opening does a similar thing of number 1, where they get a big name star for the opening scene. In this case, it's Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett at the time.
Jada Pinkett.
Smith wasn't part of her name yet.
Yeah.
So you know, you got the big A-list, or I guess you can call it A-lister.
Absolutely. And that was a really riveting opening.
Yes,
once again.
Yeah.
And it actually has a lot to say about the effects of cinema on people, which is kind of something that
made me not want to go to cinema for a while.
Yes, absolutely. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the cinema. So yeah.
It's. I mean, that's one thing that the Scream franchise, even in its lower moments, it's always brilliantly directed.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody but Wes Craven could have done.
He
this.
knows how to do that tongue in cheek and how to blend the comedy and the horror together like no one else can. And you know, it really. These are Wes Craven's babies. You can see that he. I mean, it might have been Kevin Williamson who did the scripts, but you can see that Wes Craven then has taken this script and has nurtured it and cared for it and just delivered something that's really that he cares a lot about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's as if you know, Hitchcock had have done Psycho 2.
Yes.
And what we would have got.
Yeah.
You know, if he had have done it. He cares about the characters. He cares about what he's doing. He's not phoning it in.
No.
You know, which I think we would have got. And you know, you can tell from the success of the first Scream. Obviously, studios were kind of jumping at it. Oh, we need a sequel. We need a sequel. So it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and because that way it'll be done right. And it is. That's the thing. It is done well for a sequel. It's just it is a rehash in many ways. So it's kind of like you feel like you've seen this before.
Yeah. With all its cleverness, it does fall into a few traps at times that it probably shouldn't have fallen into. Right.
But there's still tension there. Like another one of my favorite scenes from this movie is where essentially Sydney and her friend are being driven to the safe house, right, and Ghostface gets in, right, and the car crashes, right, and then Ghostface is out, and then Sydney and her friend have to climb through the front of the car and go past Ghostface without waking him up, and I'm like, that is a really tense moment in the movie.
That scene I have kind of mixed feelings about.
Right, really?
Because on suspense level, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really scary, and having the characters in such a confined space with the killer.
Claustrophobic of that whole thing. Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that bugs me there is that Ghostface is out cold. They are in arm's reach of him. Why not just take the mask off and know who it is then and there?
But see, the thing is, like, they run out. Right, but that's exactly what Sydney says. I want to know who it is. She wants to go back and check it out. So that's why that
she does. Yeah, but I think at the time, every time I'm watching it, I'm like, just take the mask off, and it would be done with then.
You know what?
I mean, and it's almost like it felt almost like they couldn't lift the mask off just yet because the movie needed to go for another half an hour.
No, I just think it's a shift in when Sydney says that, it is a shift in her character. Right, because she's obviously studying acting, she's doing the theatre performances, and she has that really cool conversation with her lecturer about confronting the evil. You can do that on stage. So it is a shift in her character where she's now just not becoming this helpless sort of victim. She wants to go for it. She wants to be the strong heroine, and you know, a Sarah Connor type, which is actually mentioned in the movie. You got a Linda Hamilton thing going on. It's nice. I like it. You know, which is cool. It's again self-referential, but I think that's what it was trying to do there. But really interesting points, man.
Yeah, I can see your point, but and that's something that's always bugged me with that scene.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about the ending and a couple of parts of this film without going spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, switch off now if you care about spoilers.
But bookmark this so you can come back to it and watch the rest of the review, because we love talking to you guys and stuff. Yeah.
So I think the biggest spoiler in the film is not so much the reveal of the killer, it's actually Randy's death.
Absolutely.
That was a big what the hell moment.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that because we love Randy. Yeah, but...
And he doesn't even die towards the end, he dies halfway through the film.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, which is a really big blow, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I give them the movie credit for that, where it has the balls to go there.
It's bold, it's a bold movie.
And from a realistic point of view, yes. Considering it's happening again, you can't have all the same characters surviving again. It would have been too far-fetched. And it's good that Dewey gets taken out for a bit. He gets multiple stabbings again.
And he's
that
the
poor guy.
exact same shot from the first film, essentially him being carried off in a stretcher at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's
so
it's always the underdog, isn't he?
Yeah.
In these films.
I think that's one thing. Even in Scream 3, when I think Scream 3 is its low point, it always knows how to juggle who dies, who doesn't, and it has a justifiable amount of deaths and a justifiable amount of characters being injured to feel realistic enough. So when characters do make it through, like, it wasn't a Hollywood ending. It's not like, oh, let's just get them through because we like those characters.
No, that's exactly right. It was bold enough to make those choices to kill off those characters. But essentially, does Randy get a good death though?
It's kind of a...
Because he doesn't... I mean, he helps essentially in the plot by, once again, surviving the tropes of a sequel and laying out those rules essentially. But he doesn't really go out saving anybody.
No,
or anything,
he doesn't.
Which is kind of a bummer, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a sad death.
It's a sad
more
death.
than the hero's death.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then obviously the reveal of the killer. It's Billy's mum.
A bit of a cliche.
Yeah. And then Timothy Olyphant being in it. I can't remember why he's in on it.
Because he really loves movies, so he's essentially a bit of a Billy clone in many ways, and I think there was that connection where, because they kind of mention it, all he needed was a little guidance, a little nurturing, which only a mother can give.
Yeah, and that might be why I don't remember that, because it was too much like the first one almost.
Yeah.
So and that's what I mean, where
it works though.
That's what I mean, where the film works.
Yeah, but it's not as clever.
It's not as clever as sometimes it thinks it is.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Still a very good movie.
Yeah. Not as cool, not as iconic. But if you like the first one, you will definitely have a good time with this movie.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
If you like the first movie, you'll without a doubt like the entire series.
Yeah.
Just don't expect the same levels of quality as you go through.
Right.
It kind of picks up and down. I think at least for me it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So overall star ratings, what are you giving it?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with 4.5. Out of 5 for this one. I had a good time with it, and when I watched this when it first came out, so I was still in high school, so once again I loved the characters and loved getting into it, and I think for me it's kind of held up the same way it has over nearly 19 years. Wow. Where I still feel it's a great movie, just not as cool as the first one, but I still had a good time with it, so I'm going to go 4.5, only slightly lower because it is a rehash.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think the first one is pretty much a grade above this one. I very much love this movie. Just there are things with it that I don't think are as well done as they could have been. But overall, I'm going to give Scream 2 4 stars.
That's a good score.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The way I see it, someone's out to make a scene. So it's our job to observe the rules of the scene. Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, death scenes are always much more elaborate.
You just want to sit here and wait and see who drops next?
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Alright guys, that's another video done. Hope you are enjoying these Halloween videos as we lead up to the 31st of October. That's our thoughts on Scream 2. What do you think of the movie? Comment down below and give us your thoughts on the film. We've got Scream 3 and 4 coming up very shortly. Something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, I'm Robbie.
I'm Chris.
And we'll see you at the movies.